one last thing I did want to mention is that The Marvels is out now in theaters, and I am very excited to watch it as a Marvel fan. And of course, there have already been people review bombing the movie, because what else would you expect from Marvel fans who are merely straight cis white men? But I
Mm,
am excited to watch it. I will have to say, like, in general, there has been this very big conversation around Marvel, the company Marvel, and like what's going on with the company. Is it doing well? Are they okay? Blah blah blah. There have been a lot of articles coming out and a lot of thoughts and a lot of opinions. And I will have to say, a lot of the times I've noticed these conversations do tend to happen around certain releases with Marvel. When Black Panther 2 came out, there were a lot of people talking down about Marvel. Even when Black Panther was released, there was this author who talked about how terrible Marvel is. And around the time that Endgame came out, of course, Martin Scorsese said that, like, Marvel movies aren't as great as people think they are and everything like that. And it is annoying to me as like a person of color who's a huge comic book fan to see people talk negatively about Marvel, because like I could talk negatively about Marvel all day long. Like I could say a myriad of things about Marvel that are 100% true because it's a huge corporation and it is, bought out by Disney, which is essentially trying to be a monopoly within the entertainment industry. So Marvel is not without its faults. And I do want to say, like, we can talk critically about Marvel and say things that are very true. Very true indeed.
hmm
But when it comes to this movie, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to have a good time. I don't care what you think. I don't like I'm not here to be critical or analytical or any of that stuff. I'm here to have
hmm
fun and have a good time. I want to watch the Marvel's cast play with puppies and
Yeah.
try UK snacks and have a good time. That's what I'm here for. Okay, the analysis, the think pieces, they
hmm
could wait until 2024. All right, it's been a rough year.
It's it's not the place for it. It's not the time.
No.
I was gonna ask though, because I'm not a Marvel person. I think like I've seen like a few of the films. I think I saw up to maybe around the the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Not is that what it's called? The Captain America Civil War? Is
Yeah.
that what it's called? That one, yeah. I think that was maybe the last one that I saw. And then I've seen the Tom Holland Spider-Man, the first one. Um, but um when you're talking about like how people are talking negatively about certain films, is it like Black Panther and then is it like Miss the one that Brie Larson plays? Is it all about the ones that are like either about like people of color or like women? Is that kind of what people are talking down about? Is it kind of like that aspect, or what? Which were you kind of talking about? I'm just not clued into the discourse at all.
No, it's fine. I mean, there are. I mean, I think generally, there has been this conversation going on around like superhero movies and Marvel, and a lot of people have been blaming Marvel for the death of cinema, so to speak. People have been saying because there's so many superhero movies now, um, filmmaking is like dying in a way, which I'd say is very overdramatic and false. Even though there has been a rise in superhero movies and superhero TV shows and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that cinema is dying. I think that there has been a shift and a change in cinema, but it's not due to Marvel or DC or anything like that. It's just because of capitalism. Because
Hmm
truthfully, back in the 2000s, when studios realized that you can make franchise films off of existing IPs, they saw that there was so much money being made out of that. And then they realized with the first Superman with Tobey Maguire, you can make movies from comic books because comic books go on forever. So you can make a
hmm
movies forever, which birthed Marvel Studios and then Iron Man. And from there, we have built this studio that's kind of dominated the Hollywood industry, which many um, respectable directors and respectable actors working in these franchise films, and thus creating these fan bases based off these comic books and movies based off the comic books as well. And then everyone's going to see these movies because they release every summer or every Christmas. And then we get to the culmination of Endgame, And so everyone is kind of like thinking like, oh, Marvel's been doing really well. Everyone wants to be in a Marvel movie. Every director, every like popular director you see, they suddenly ask, is this person going to direct a Marvel movie? You know, because Marvel seems to be like the hot ticket. And then we get to a point at Infinity War and then Endgame, and there's like the kind of like the breathing period after Marvel where people are thinking, is Marvel as good as we think it is? And it's not that it's Marvel itself, it is capitalism, because once one industry figures out a way to make money, they will run that idea into the ground to make
Mm-hmm.
even more money. And it gets to the point where people get tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was gonna say like I guess the fact that it's Marvel and superheroes is kind of incidental in a way because like we've seen the kind of waves of like say like with like Hawaii dystopian franchises or like
Mm-hmm.
magical franchises like Harry Potter and stuff. And it's like those all kind of fade and don't have the staying power.
Yes.
And the fact that it's like Marvel and superheroes do have the staying power and like prove to rake in money time and time again, that's why they're so prominent. It's not like that they're causing that, it's like a result of, you know, whatever capitalism and the like the money appetites. But it's like if it weren't superheroes, it could very much be like anything else.
It can be YA novels being turned into movies or Netflix television shows. It could be Wattpad originals being turned into terrible movie remakes. It could be a
Yeah.
number of things. And the thing that I have noticed, I first noticed this when Black Panther came out. When Black Panther came out, there was a strange rise of people being highly critical of Marvel. Um, and then when
Do you,
Black
but
Panther,
yeah, yeah. So I think
yeah,
when I asked I was gonna ask, do you think that that is because it was the first one to center around like Black people? Do you think that's why
I
that it was
feel
the rise in the criticism?
I mean, for me personally, yes, I do think that. And also, you see it with Captain Marvel as well, because
Mm,
before Captain Marvel came out, Brie Larson, she did this. She gave a speech. I'm not sure exactly which forum it is, but she basically gave this speech talking about how a lot of film reviewers are mainly cisgender white men. And because they're cis straight white men, when there are movies that are coming out, like A Wrinkle of Time, when there are movies coming out that are centered around people that are not like the people that are reviewing these films,
hmm
they will not see these movies in like such a great light. And we've seen this with like
hmm
movies like Turning Red, or there was like a slew of white men on Twitter talking about how they don't understand the movie and how it doesn't relate to them. And the purpose
Yeah,
is
it's
not
like
to
it's not
relate.
for you. It's not for
Yes.
you. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. Like
yeah.
the purpose is not for you to get it, obviously,
hmm
because me, I don't really look to Rotten Tomatoes that much when it comes to new releases and like deciding whether or not I should watch something, because Rotten Tomatoes um gave The Green Book a 95% Rotten Tomato rating, and that movie is not. If you enjoy watching these highlights, subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so you know when a new video is uploaded. In any way related to the Green Book, which is a historical piece of literature that freeds or like black people used, you know, in the antebellum South to figure out which hotels they could stay in so that they would not be then sold out to their slavers and then put back on the plantation, or even worse, because they ran
hmm
away, or, you know, to help them escape. And the movie
And I
kind
could
of
imagine
turned.
as well. Oh no, sorry. I was just gonna
No.
say haven't seen the film, but I could imagine that like since it's mainly white men reviewing it, all that context is lost on them. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't have any of that. So they just see this for like completely divorced from context and just be like, oh, what a fun film.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it were like maybe it would have been even split or like if it was a majority black like review based, then they would have that
Mm-hmm.
knowledge and like the reviews would look very different.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. And you know, because Brie Larson, she made that very smart and also very truthful speech. When Captain Marvel came out, a lot of people were saying things about Brie Larson and about the film as well, saying that Captain Marvel is like an overpowered character and Brie Larson is unlikable and her cast doesn't want to like hang out with her and all these things. And I just want to say, I feel like it was really unfair to her, especially to have to deal with that backlash, because Chadwick
hmm
Boseman was the only one of the Marvel actors that went to the premiere, and Don Cheadle was one of the only people that openly defended her when she was dealing with the backlash online. And it's
Hmm.
just, and it's funny
Fishy.
because when James Gunn was being found out for his little website, suddenly everybody knows how to use Twitter. Everybody knows how
Yeah.
to use Instagram. When Chris Pratt was being, dragged online for, not being a great husband and also just
Mm-hmm.
being a not liked guy, suddenly
Yeah.
everybody and their PR team had to mount their horses for a battle to defend the
Mm-hmm.
honor of Chris Pratt. But when
Mm.
a new member of your family or whatever, or a new member of your team is being harassed, is being having her movie like bombed on Rotten Tomatoes and just treated unfairly on the internet, we're all busy. We.
Yeah, and it's like she was she wasn't even being attacked for anything that she'd done.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a personal attack. Because even though, as I said, like I'm not like really clued into Marvel or like the films, I was still seeing TikToks like analyzing her body language or like showing clips of me and like, oh my God, she's so arrogant, she's so rude, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I was like, oh, it just seemed like she was just doing normal things. And I was like, this is insane that people are just like micro analyzing
Mm-hmm.
her to such an extent for just like doing her job and just doing what everything else or everybody else was doing. And then it's like when these when the white men just do like literally like criminal offenses, people are like, oh, but he was always nice to me. It's like, okay, cool. you
No,
know.
absolutely not. Yeah. So now that the Marvels has come out, I'm kind of like I'm a little like apprehensive to see any kind of reviews that people have because I just don't know if someone's going to say something that is sexist or if people are going to be like, oh, I liked the movie. It was fun, but, and then spends like the rest of the video completely dragging every little thing about it. And
Hmm.
there have also been people saying, there's also a report that came out that Nia DaCosta left towards the end of the making of the film, like the post production phase of the film. And then there's a video that was released about a few days after revealing that because they had pushed back the filming date and the release date so much for the movie, she had no other choice but to leave near the end of the near the like towards the beginning of the post-production phase of the film. She had to leave because she had a prior commitment to another film and they could not start filming or they could not start production on that other project because they were waiting on her. And because
Mm.
Marvel kept pushing things out and delaying things, it like kind of coincided with her prior commitment that she'd made to that movie, so she had to leave. And she had always stated from the beginning that she knew that this was a Kevin Feige production. Like as much as she can put in her input and her direction and her own style into the movie, at the end of the day, Kevin Feige has the last say. And I feel like I see this with Secret Invasion. I see this with Multiverse of Madness, where they are two projects that came out of Marvel that were less desirable, like not really well reviewed. And there are a lot of things that did work about the movie, and a lot of things that did not work about the film as well. And when you go back and you just like talk and read interviews or read articles from show writers, showrunners, writers, actors, people working on set, it's just because the Marvel machine has like such a control over how things are made, how things are created, that things just change at the drop of a hat. And when you're already signed onto a project, a lot of times you have a say and sometimes you don't. Like with Secret Invasion,
Mm.
they kept changing showrunners, they kept changing writers, they kept doing reshoots. And this is the same thing that's happening with Captain America, the new Captain America movie that's going to come out soon. That there are a lot of reshoots happening with that film as well because it wasn't well received by audiences. And,
Mm.
with Marvel, with their TV shows, they treated them as like miniseries that were meant to be a build up to the new movie coming out instead of treating it like a TV show with a show Bible and a showrunner and a team of writers to create something for there to be a continuation of the show. So there's a lot of
Mm.
things that Marvel needs to fix and a lot of things that Marvel needs to work
Yeah.
on, which I could acknowledge. But with the Marvels, I just want to say I'm just gonna wait and see it because I'm just excited.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like we can acknowledge that there's like these structural issues,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because of capitalism, or that like, yeah, basically that like we can acknowledge that there's those like structural like industry issues. And also it's like, but we can also enjoy the output and like the entertainment for what they are. And like, I don't know, I'm always like an advocate for like, watch what you want, consume what you want, or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
like, just be like conscious of, I guess, the context behind it. And if you're watching a film by, say, a problematic director or from like a very capitalist industry, it's like just important to, if you choose to watch those things, like you have that context, but you also are free to enjoy things as you want. Because as well, if you I feel like we could literally look into like every single entertainment thing, and then there's going to be issues with it, and so many of them are going to come down to capitalism, which at the end of the day we can't like change overnight. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
we need our little bubbles of happiness in the society. We live in a society, so it's like we need
Yeah.
things that will bring us joy. And whether that's a Marvel film, whether that's whatever, it's important to have our happiness and our joy,
Mm-hmm.
our little shows and our little films.
Absolutely. So that's going to be, just new releases and a little bit of entertainment news for you guys. So we're going to dive head first into the topic of the podcast. Since you're at the end of the video, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment down below. If you want early access to these highlights, join our Patreon. Patrons have access to our entire archive, including full-length videos. Patrons also have the opportunity to choose a topic for our podcast, and they get the opportunity to be a guest. Join now.